Yo, shout it out everybody, man. What's the deal? We locked in. Bilo, I see you in the building, man. We locked in. Definitely the movement, man. What's going on, man? It's good to see you out there. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. We already know what it is, man. We got a classic episode tonight. We're gonna be going over some things with our special guest, Mr. Joe Williams. He's a licensed clinical social worker. He has his own practice. This is an expert in the field of psychotherapy and issues pertinent to post-traumatic stress syndrome, among other issues, man, that pretty much are relevant to us as a people. But as you guys see, man, today's title is focusing on rappers, prison, fratricide, and the gang subculture. And we want to touch up on a number of topics because there's a lot going on in the news. But before we get to that, man, we want anybody who's pulling up for the first time, if you are not a subscriber already, please, man, subscribe. Hit that like button coming up in. There should be no reason why we got people up in here and you're not hitting that like button, and share it, man. I mean, if you're really interested in the message that's being propagated at We Locked In, we would advise you guys to share the content to individuals who you have influence over, because although there's a lot of information that's being shared on the platform, um, we want to do our best, man, to give you content that could be of benefit to you. Everything is not for everybody, so our channel is not necessarily the channel that everybody kind of tunes into. And that's all right. But for the most part, those who do tune in, they know that they're going to get something of quality. It's going to be substantive, and it's going to be something that, again, you can gain benefit from. I'm waiting for my co-host Mikey B and KK to both pull up. And we definitely up in here. Once they pull up, man, we're gonna have a lot to talk about, man. John Shaft 139, I see y'all, man. Hit that like button coming in, y'all. Y'all already know what it is. I see Seven Guard up in the building. That's right. Free Jay Burton. That's the brother, man, who's been down for over 30 years. They need to free that brother. Should be no reason why our brother is still locked in the can. So we definitely want to see another black man free. Jay Renee, you already know what it is, man. We locked in, sis. Shout it out. To everybody that's tuned in, if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to my sister Jay Renee, her channel, Prison Riot Radio, also on YouTube. Please, man, please subscribe to her. She got some content speaking about brothers and sisters who are being mistreated unjustifiably on the inside, behind the prison wall. And her content is definitely relevant because she's like the voice of the voiceless. So we should definitely be supporting the sister with every ounce of support that we have in our veins. Yo, peace to you, man. Peace, Seven Guard. How you doing out there, my brother? Sincere, you already know what it is, man. I love the fact that you got George Lester Jackson as your symbol. That's right, man. That's what we trying to do here, man. We locked in. Yo, salute, Bilo. You already know what it is, man. We're gonna keep this thing going. We definitely gonna stay focused, man. We got some content tonight. I'm waiting for our expert, Mr. Williams, to pull up. I thought that he would be here already, but we'll wait for him to come on board. I already see my boy up in the building, Mr. Montalvo. This is my brother right here from back in the days. You already know. Shout it out, Brody, man. It's good to see you alive and well. Hey, Sadie B, I love you. You know that already. With every ounce of fiber that I have in my heart for you, I love you. Put what in the chat? What you want me to put in the chat, John Shav? I put it. I put it in the chat already. Who you talking to? You talking to Seven Guard? All right. So like I was saying, man. So tonight's episode is gonna be epic. And it's gonna be something that we need to talk about. A lot has been said over the last couple of days, even the last couple of weeks. I mean, we could say over the last couple of months regarding the hip hop industry. And we've been seeing a lot taking place, and I want to kind of put it all into perspective. And when we have these conversations, it's best that we call on individuals who can kind of contextualize it and put things into perspective on a higher level. So a lot of times we talk about it, we get really, real emotional about it. We add our opinion into the mix, but there's individuals who are actually qualified to speak from a standpoint where, based on their expertise, they can pretty much, provide you with some 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 expert wisdom, because it's one thing to speak emotionally, but these individuals could put things into a different perspective. So with that being the case, we wanted to call our brother Joe Williams, who again, he is a licensed clinical social worker. Not only does he have his bachelor's, he has his master's, and he's currently working on his PhD right now at NYU. So the brother is definitely tapped in. Hold on, give me 1 second. Hold on. Trying to make sure that he can pull up with us, man, because the brother is qualified. But we want to kind of talk about all this stuff that's been going on. So over the last couple of months, we've been seeing a lot taking place. I know we probably become desensitized to it, hearing about individuals getting knocked down. We saw young Dolph, unfortunately, man, he tragically lost his life. We've seen individuals getting snatched up across. We seen what's been going on out there in Chicago, King Von, and we seen little young Brody, K Flock getting snatched up. Most recently, we seen Gunna and Doug and all these individuals, and even the situation with Casanova. It's just a whole bunch of stuff taking place. And one thing is that all of these individuals are young black men. All of these individuals come from the same communities that we come from. All of these individuals are allegedly affiliated with gangs, allegedly, right? So all of this stuff is a part of a much bigger issues that we as a community are going through. So we want to kind of have the conversation about like what's the impact that this is having on us as a people, right? What's the psychological impact, not only the short-term ramifications, but the long-term ramifications. Like what's really happening to us as a people when we look at the fact that all of our people are kind of like getting in the game, and all this stuff is taking place. The authorities is coming down on individuals. It's like you don't know who's next. You don't know who's going to lose their life next. You don't know who's going to get incarcerated next. You don't know what's going on. They pitting us against each other. It's like a dog eat dog world. We're all going at it. It's like this is exactly like what it's designed to do. But we all can kind of explain things from our own understanding. But for the most part, we know that these individuals themselves, things from our own understanding. My brother, Mr. Joe Williams, is on the set, man. Shout it out, my brother. Peace to you, comrade. How you doing?
Peace, King. Peace to the kings. Peace to the queens out there. Peace, family. I'm great, man. I'm blessed. I'm a little beat. It's been a long day, so forgive how tired I am and how I look, but I'm grateful to be here. Dope platform. Continue to build, King.
No, I was just kind of putting everything in context. Obviously you and I, we speak regularly. Although we know we've been busy. All right, can y'all hear me? Before I pass it over to you, to pretty much kind of like we see what's been going on, my brother. Like it's a lot happening in the news. Are we desensitized to all this that's taking place? We seeing our young black men who are doing everything in their power to strive to overcome their economic conditions in the hood. Individuals being gunned down indiscriminately across the country. We seeing state and government officials snatching up young black men, black and brown bodies like it's nothing. Prison cells are being filled up. Another thing that we see is we also see, individuals being pitted against each other, where this person is telling on this person and that person is telling on it. It's like it's a whole toxic mess. And we like to speak about these things from the perspective of being sensationalized, because we come from the streets. We've been in the streets. But, you have a unique background because not only are you someone who actually has that background yourself, but you're also somebody who has educated yourself, and you are now an expert in the field where you're able to provide context and clarity regarding all of these matters from a psychological standpoint. So, what's your take on what I've mentioned? And what do you think about all of this, my brother?
Well, let me say that to anyone who may ever say that the system does not work, I would tell you that it's working perfectly well. It is doing exactly what it is intended to do, right? What do I mean by that? Um, the system is designed to oppress a minority so that a majority can be in power. The power dynamics can shift in favor of those with the means to power, for power, and of power, right? All right. When we look at what's going on in our communities, the system working. Our communities are by design intended towards fratricide. It is intended towards having the system perpetuates itself without an external hand. And I'll explain all of this, right? To oppress a people, you first have to divide the family, right? As the family is divided, there becomes hierarchical structures within the family, within the community, within society. It's that ripple effect from micro to macro. How do you oppress the fear of the black and brown body? You oppress the fear of the black and brown body by allowing the black and brown body to have fear for itself and that which it looks like. This is what I mean. If I ask any of my students today, yo, describe to me your op. Like, tell me how he look. They be like, yo, he wears hair like in a little frizz like mine. What what be on his feet? What his feet look like? Well, nah, his feet be lace. He be having some Jordans on. How he be dressing? Oh, he dressed like me. What he listen to? I mean, we probably listen to the same type of music. Oh, so you describing yourself. What we seeing in the community is an extension of self-hatred that is perpetuated into black on brown violence, to whereas the majority who actually fears what will happen if these individuals stop fighting amongst themselves, come together and fight a common enemy and or oppressor. And so when that external fear takes hold, well, we can eradicate that fear by making them not look at us, but feel as though they have to go with one another. And by doing so, what happens? Well, it's like a threefold system. You disrupt the family, you therefore disrupt the community. But it's not just the family, the community, this is society and or culture that is affected. There is a generation and or generations that are affected. How so? If I see you, bro, as my op, because you live on the other side, because you got a different color and creed, because whatever perceived slight there is, right? You my op. And so because you my op, I'm trying to get at you, you trying to get at me. You score. I'm done. So that means I leave behind my kids, I leave behind my moms, I leave behind my sister, my little brother, I leave behind my grandmother, I leave everybody else behind. in this day and age, when people going at each other, it's not keep it on the low. It's now this from afar. They recording it. They want to put that on the gram real quick. So you got snitching by default, all by participation, all by whatever you want to call it, right? Providing evidence. So you go down. Now, when you go down, you're not there for your moms, your wife, your kids, your little brother, your little sister. You're not there for none of the family. Life keeps going on in my absence and your absence, but my family is now fractured. Your family is now fractured. The fact that you got whatever time you got, my little brother feel like he was robbed of my present. He mad at the world now. So now we got the next generation coming up wanting to be gangster, so he don't get smoked. So his op, he got to get back on his op. They smoked your brother. All right. On your end, your kids is missing daddy's presence. And as your presence is not there, well, they getting corrupted by the world. They getting corrupted by their friends. They getting corrupted by mommy's boyfriend, mommy's girlfriend. They getting corrupted because they don't have the men there guiding them. Or some other nefarious things could play out that ends up affecting another generation. And as they grow up, how do they see themselves and their fellow man and woman? And it dawned on me, and I mentioned this before, bro. Just the other day, I was watching Boys in the Hood. And I was watching how that Soul to Soul, that company popped up in mad different places throughout the movie, right? And it's the Soul to China version of Soul spelling. And I said, wow, as they systematically removed in the play on a word, it became a reality. When the neighbor was removed from the hood and it just became the hood and no more the neighborhood, with that went collaboration, that was teamwork. Out the window with that was it takes a village to raise a child. Out the window was each one teach one. All these critical and impactful mantras, mindsets, lenses, perspectives that help keep us unified as a people, all that went out the window. So now it's just the hood. And in the hood, it's dangerous. In the hood, you got to stay dangerous, stay sturdy. In the hood, you got to be violent, you got to be aggressive, you got to be a monster. Because if not, you're going to be fooled, you're going to be prey. Now, what does the music do with this mindset, mantra, and mentality? Well, when we think about messages, we get messages from music. We get messages from movies. We get messages from body language. The weather gives us messages, right? We always receiving messages. But one of the most
Salute.
one of the most strategic ways of imparting messages, right, is through music, the media, movies. COINTELPRO 2.0. Listen, bro, I'm not surprised. When you think about these hammers that's coming into our communities, when you think about the fentanyl and all these other types of designer drugs and crafted scientific, all these things, this is design that they're finding their way into our community, which is in part, or which is in turn, tearing our community apart. The little ones getting hammers.
Yeah.
They going out who they feel is their ops. The music is the message that perpetuates this. I'm gonna spit on my ops dead, and I'm gonna violate. And now being mad disrespectful is the wave.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy because it's like no, just tuning in. I was just running around taking care of stuff for the family. Well, what you had said is something that I always thought about, even when I was young, just how easy it was for me to get a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting some type of educational program or some program that was going to help me with financial literacy or something to help feed my family or myself, but way easier to get a gun or some drugs, which was always stood out to me. Like, nigga, it's like, when is the social problem going to be addressed? You know what I'm saying, instead of making it, oh yeah, but individual people or this person, he just crazy or he just like nah. You know, I remember reading some of the like George Jackson and some others thing how he used to go into politics, how a lot of times crime stemmed from social things. So knowing when you cut certain programs, knowing when you eliminate certain things in these neighborhoods that are already disenfranchised, like you're gonna create more of an issue because people are gonna do whatever they need to do as far as to eat. You know, which is
Right. See, but it's a point where it goes beyond just having to eat, and this is what I mean, KK. Right?
yeah,
We gotta eat and we gotta feed our family. Granted, hands down. Some people turn to crime as a means of providing the necessary means to provide sustenance for their family, to provide roof, to provide clothes. I can't legit not how nobody eats, right? What I end up having my qualms with is the unnecessary violence that
yeah.
accompanies the lifestyle that's being lived or trying to be perpetuated. It's that part that I have the issue. It's where a a verbal insult on social media becomes a drive-by shooting. It's when these individuals that, as you mentioned, the easily access to not only guns but big guns in
Yeah.
our community, right? That these individuals not being taught how to aim, how to prepare for the discharge and the recoil. So therefore, they're missing targets, hitting innocent people, hitting kids, hitting old ladies, hitting any and everything but the intended target. And when you re-engineer these actions and behaviors and find out, well, what was it really about? And it's like, wait, what? It wasn't about no major money in the hundreds of thousands, the millions. It wasn't, it wasn't no, the dude didn't rape your sister, violate your moms and spit on her. It was none of that. It was something that was said in the longs of a discourse and an exchange that led to gunfire, that led to somebody losing their life.
You know, it's
That led
crazy. I like, and I'm glad you said it because I look at myself, right, and I always, you know how we do, keep things on the eye, man, and just look at certain things that I had went through and how I was. Like, I felt from young like this was the thing that garnered ultimate respect. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I lay something down, they going boom. So I didn't feel comfortable arguing or going back and forth with somebody or somebody even disrespecting me. I didn't even know how to take it, right? And a lot of times, I look now, just looking back how I used to think. Looking now, like sometimes like dudes don't even know how to react in a situation like that. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing they do know is that, all right, I gotta get my respect back because they feel like they was violated in some type of way. So it's like the only way they know is I I got a gun. I gotta go handle this. I gotta go lay something down, and that usually become the first option. It ain't yo. Let's go. Let me go have a discussion, or let me not even pay attention to what's being said. He didn't even mean that, right? Or you know what? If it's that bad of an issue and I can't get over it, right? We gonna find some way, some other way to resolve it. Let's go, yo. Let's go boxing. We gonna go to the gym, boxing gym, something. But you know what I'm saying, if you feel that strongly, because I remember even when I was coming up, when I was banging, like I had respect for the 31. I loved it. You know what I mean? Because it was like I came up. I got a big ass family, right? So all my first cousins, we like brothers and sisters, right? So we had issues with each other. We was fighting. That's how it was. We keep on fighting, but it wasn't no. I'm mad at you. We eating together the next day, playing games, video games, all that the next day, like nothing. But it should be the same thing. If you got an issue, you don't know how to work it out, handle it. All right, we fight, get it over with, and move on. Because usually that issue don't be nothing, right? It'd be a slight wound, a wound that you may not know how to handle from all of the I remember the discussion we had before, just about all the other mental traumas that a person been dealing with. So it's like that slight just opens up so much other stuff, and you just feeling like everything is being threatened in this one moment instead of just taking a moment. Just taking a moment.
You know what all of that is called that you mentioned? Every solution that you presented is a shape, form, and fashion of emotional intelligence, which is something that our youth are lacking. But not just our youth, because their parents are also lacking emotional intelligence. The bulk of our community lacks emotional intelligence in this day and age. And what do I mean by that? Everything you just mentioned, from how we grew up amongst the family, how we grew up on the block, especially in Linden houses, we grew up. If one of us amongst the team had an issue, we fought. We shot the fair one.
Yeah.
And Peace King. And us being able to fight with one another, and which was something that was taught to us by the old heads. When you go to jail, because you in this life, and part of this life will entail you going to jail. There's no guns in jail, so you won't have to fight. So the old heads in our community ensured that we knew how to fight, we knew how to scrap, and it wasn't about if you won or if you lost. It was about how much heart you displayed, and if that individual never wanted to fight you again, then you won. You were successful.
But so let me give some pushback. And first, everybody that's pulling up for the first time, please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the like button coming in, and please share it with somebody, man, so at least one person who you know and have influence over can listen to this. Maybe it's your son, maybe it's your nephew, maybe it's your daughter, maybe it's a neighbor, somebody who you have influence over. Tell them to pull up, man. This conversation is needed, man. To my brother, Conscious Money Talks, man, hit the link, man, so we could pull you up on the chat. But I got a question for you, and shout it out to my brother right here who just pulled up, Jamel Saladin. It's always a pleasure to have you on board with us. But I got a question I want to ask you, man. And I know that as a psychotherapist who studies, who's well equipped and well versed in post-traumatic stress disorder, how do you, because I know you put it into perspective, but how do you tie in everything you've mentioned from intergenerational neglect that you spoke of, when you have individuals who are engaging in destructive behavior that ultimately leads to their absence inadvertently or intentionally, so either through their deaths or through their imprisonment? This now means that we don't have black and brown bodies in our communities who can build, right? So how do you tie all of this in terms of the impact that it has on us, not only currently but moving forward? How is this a threat to our very existence moving forward?
Man, especially coming on the heels of the quarantine and remote learning specifically, and the failures of remote learning on our black and brown kids. Our community is honestly like in a bleak place. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. And what I mean by that is, with the surge, with the media sensation of the surge in gun violence, with rappers finding themselves being killed, being targeted, being arrested, our kids are not learning how to be the best citizens possible. And I don't mean citizens that follow law and order. our kids are not being taught how to think abstractly.
Mm.
They're not being taught how to think outside the box. They're not being taught how to think as inventors, creators, builders, engineers. Partly because the importance of that on our community has withered. The people who champion this way of thinking and or ideology, they don't look cool. They don't look like they got it together. And as the young has been having young, we are at a point where many parents can't even help their kids with the homework that's coming home from school. So if education starts in the home, but the people who are or who by acts have been tasked with being in charge with these young humans' lives as well as their education, then they're not equipped to teach them about civics, about the order of government, about voting. They're not equipped to teach them about this is how you sit down and balance a checkbook. This is what an APR means. This is what debt to income ratio means, et cetera, et cetera. If they're not sitting down and teaching about the importance of dating prior to sex, which leads to kids because, and I'm saying this with a grain of salt, offense can never be given, it can only be taken. So, with what I'm about to say, it's not intended to be offensive. Forgive me if anyone takes this offensively, but it's important who you have children with because there are certain genetic ailments, issues, and situations that you don't want to invite into your bloodline. I'm going to keep it a buck. But we're not taught these things, and hence the state of our community. When you got a 7-year-old saying SMD like it's nothing, and the parents is laughing, boy, you better shut up. Don't let Papa hear you say that. He crazy. What? No, he's not crazy. He's mimicking behavior that he's seeing replicated for him.
Yeah.
So this is why I say our community currently seems to be in a bleak state because it's not too many people who are actively saying, let's be progressive, let's step up, let's clean up our own community. Let's not wait for housing to do it. Let me clean my floor. Let me mop my floor. Let me make sure ain't no garbage here. Let me make sure ain't no rats running around in front of my building. We get into this, the hood is no neighbor, it's just me and my clan. Just me and mine. We coming and going. Don't talk to nobody out here. We don't mess with them. So now we're seeing one another through the lens of that's an op. That's an opposition. They trying to take my job. He trying to take my girl. He trying to take my TV. How do we get around this? How do we break this?
Shit.
I'm gonna say it start with education.
I mean, you think it's irreversible? I mean, honestly, like, because I mean, we have all these theories on what we should do, right? What oppressed people should do, how we should do it. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody has a plan. Everybody has an ideology, a philosophy. And some would argue that therein lies the problem, that there's no uniformity, that there is no unity, that, as you stated from the outset, that the system itself inherently, innately, it's designed to be the way that it is designed to be. And hold on, before I move on, I want to introduce our brother Infame Sikivu, my brother, man.
Salute, bro. Salute.
Another,
Peace,
you know,
peace.
known as Don X. This is my brother right here, man. Conscious Money Talks, Obima boy. We go back a long way, and I'm glad to have you on this panel with us, man. This is my brother right here, man. I love him immensely. He is definitely involved in the community. He's doing a lot of great stuff with the youth out there in Albany, man. And he's one of the brothers who, kind of feels like he's by himself trying to solve most of these community-based issues that are directly impact us all. So I just wanted to kind of put into perspective who he is. Unfortunately, he's having some tech issues, but pardon me, I wanted to kind of get back to that job real quick, that some would argue that the system is inherently designed to keep us in this position where we all have these diverse beliefs, right? And which is all right with that, right? But it's embedded within the system that we're at odds with each other. So what we see taking place right now with this intergenerational neglect, this intergenerational dysfunction and destruction, is being manifested out in the public now, because we have these devices where we're able to see everything in real time. So now we're able to see the federal and the state government lock up 30 or 40 black and brown bodies in Georgia. The same things happening on the south side of Chicago. The same thing happening in East St. Louis. The same things happening in Texas. The same things happening in Harlem. Now they going inside the prison systems and they snatching individuals up, taking them right to ADX. So if you in Michigan, you in New York, they'll take you straight to ADX. So all of this is kind of like a part of this whole, I don't want to say conspiracy. I want to say that, as you stated, this is embedded within the system. But overall, when we talk about the solutions, we always talk about the problems and things like that. But in terms of the solutions, right? How is it that we could say our ideologies is the most superior one? What is the solution? What are the solutions? How do we help change some of these things, but taking all of that into consideration?
Right. I mean, I think just say no to drugs. Fight. It's another ending fight. Yeah. I think it is reversible at some point in history, right? But it's gonna take a watershed event. It's gonna take a climatic moment that is going to push a unified identity agenda over an individualized agenda. It's something's gonna happen. It's gonna, like, history repeats itself, right? And America is only like 200 plus years old. So America is a baby on the grand scheme of other countries and what they've seen, what they've been through, as far as empires rising, falling, so on and so forth, right? So in our community, first and foremost, is going to take education. And when I mean education, I'm not talking about white man's education. I'm not talking about collegiate education. I'm talking about the education of oneself. First and foremost, you got to understand you. What makes you tick? Why do you do the shit you do? I had a student that was in summer school. It was just the other day in my high school. Boy, chronic hallway walker, got to do summer school. He's in summer school. Something possesses him to take out a firecracker the day after the 4th, light it, throw it, and he turns right into the principal. Oh, shit. You out of here. Now, my thing is, all right, we do dumb shit as kids, but dude, what motivated that behavior? Like, what were you thinking in that time? What does that apply to this? Our behaviors have consequences. In knowledge of self is understanding what informs my behavior that therefore informs my consequences. Consequences, good or bad. You was getting ready to say something, King?
No,
go ahead.
Some would argue, some would argue his throwing of the firecracker is his inherent response to a system that is oppressive, right? Some would argue that it's simply him just innately. Because let me tell that's not my brother. My brother from another Mikey B.
Like my other brother down there too, man. Yo, peace, bro. Peace.
Peace, gang.
Yo, peace, bro.
But before I pass this around, and yo, this is a great panel. So before I pass this around, right, I want to say this, right, because I know Infami got a bunch to say. He just waiting to go off. He ready to skyrocket into the air. Jamel Sardine is ready to go. Everybody ready to go. I want to say this though. Years ago, I'm gonna share a quick story for a minute. When I was incarcerated, my mother would write me and tell me, "Your nephew is rebelling against the authority figures in his school. I don't know what to do with him. I'm thinking about putting him on medication, Ritalin, similar to what one of my aunts had did with her grandson, because she was so physically unable to deal with him that she thought the best way to help him and help her was to slow his behavior down. I wrote my mother like a 16-page letter. I said, "Ma, my nephew is a descendant of African slaves who were forcibly removed and brought over here. And he's simply responding to a system that is oppressive and it's alien to him. What they're defining as being rebellious is a natural response to a human being wanting to push back against oppression." Right? So I wanted to put that in perspective. So just to say, some would argue that tossing of that firecracker may not necessarily be a rebellious act. It may simply be an act of resistance. But that's my thing. That's my way of looking at it. I'm sure everybody got something they probably want to throw in the mix.
Nah, you're right. He resisted having to do summer school for not handling his business during the regular. That's what he resisted.
Let's go around. I know. Listen, shout it out. My boy Mikey B just pulled in. If you're pulling up for the first time, listen, subscribe, man. Hit that like button and share it to at least one person you know, man. Please don't be shy. Y'all know a lot of people. Somebody may gain benefit from this. Mikey, I love you. And finally, Jamel, what's up, man? Let's add on to this, man. Let's talk.
Yo, hold on, bro. Let me say what's up to the panel, bro. Before we move on.
You came late.
Joey,
what's up? No late. What's up?
We not stopping. Joey, what's up? Jamel Saladin, FL Main, bro. I love you, bro.
Jay, salute, bro.
Hey, yo, me and him was in Wendy's together, running the ACA. Yo, we was on the executive board doing classes together, bro.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Me and him ran classes together at the ACAO, bro.
It's a fact.
Powerful dude. We all out here free doing the same work. You see that, bro?
Yeah, that's a fact.
You see how life works, though, bro?
Yeah, it do. Works in mysterious ways, brother.
Works in mysterious ways. We was doing that, 12 years ago, 2010.
Yeah.
We was in Wendy's doing the same work, bro.
Same work.
So I just wanted to salute the chat. You know, KK, Moshe, I love y'all, bros. But, I just wanted to say that to the bro because, like I said, we was in the field together out here teaching these young boys and the old timers because we had all the elders in the class as well. But go ahead, continue, bro. I don't want to stop.
Nah,
yeah, bro, I love you, man.
I know it's going to eventually come around to Jamel. Yeah, and Fama, you might as well just add on, man. What's up, my brother? Because I know you a mad brother, man. You in Dougal, man. You looking like you mad. What's up, man? Talk about it, man.
It's crazy that you can even feel my energy, bro. I've been going through like an emotional roller coaster for the last, I don't know, month or some change, bro. Like being out here in the field and working to try to like uplift and empower the people in the community is exceedingly more difficult than what we probably had imagined when we were home. I mean, when we were still incarcerated. It's like, how they used to say, you always have the theory, but it's not really until you put your theory into practice that you begin to really understand the reality of this. So I got two big issues that are like really affecting me emotionally right now that just got me like distraught. And it all has to do with, trying to reach the youth and trying to help, those that we are close to, while at the same time struggling with our own contradictions and internal pathologies. Even though we've been through the mud and we can say we've educated ourselves and reformed ourselves, we still have to deal with our own demons and we still have to deal with, our own weaknesses and shortcomings. So we have to balance that out between our passion and sincerity and wanting to help the people that are around us. So the first thing is that I have a young man that I was working with, and we had a major falling out a couple days ago, and I feel extremely terrible about it because it's like the way I reacted and responded to what I consider or perceived a slight was, out of line. But as a man, we recognize that we have to be accountable for our actions and acknowledging those things. But unfortunately, the youth don't recognize that when a man comes to you in sincerity and tells you he's sorry, that he apologizes for what he
Yeah.
did, that that's not an easy feat because, we all still deal with ego, pride, etc. But to come to that point where you can like humble yourself and acknowledge you're wrong is like, it's tremendous. It's astronomical. And he kind of scoffed at it. He kind of like, what I'm saying? It was his emotions and feelings that were more important than acknowledging, the lesson that was being provided. So that's been having me like really stressed because, I give everything to the struggle to try to help these kids in the community and our people in general. Because like Mikey B said, we wasn't just educating the youth, we was educating our peers and those who are older. So we,
Yeah.
that's our job. We lead by example. And so that was that one situation. And this individual is like a son to me. So it's like it really hurts. The second issue is that I'm under, I have to go to court tomorrow. I'm being arrested tomorrow. So y'all all know. I'm being arrested on an order of a contempt for order of protection. Hear this story. When you really say that you care for the community, it's like you can't broker no compromise. You can't say that you want to help and then suddenly when it gets too thick, you backing away and
Yeah.
you backpedaling. And because a lot of people told me, they said, yo, why you doing this? Like, is this one kid worth all this you're going through and this, that, and the third? And I had to ask myself, why not? One of even his probation officer, because I was in contact with his probation officer, asked me a similar question. He said, does he appreciate what you're doing for? I say he's 12. I mean, it's whether or not he appreciates it or not. My job is still my job. My principles are still my principles. My mission is still my mission. I'm not going to back away from what it is that I committed my life to. This ain't something that I did as a hobby. This is not a job that I got working for some nonprofit and I'm making money from some grants. This is what I committed my being, everything, my soul to. I'm telling you, people out here don't understand the level of commitment that we are willing to give to the struggle because it seems strange to them. It seems strange to them that a black man would want to care so much for the kids in the community that you would take them on as if they were your own. But people forget that this was how our community, especially in Africa and even in the 60s, operated. It takes a village to raise a child. You can't tell me that it takes a village to raise a child, that you care for your children, but yet you're not willing to go all the way to ensure that they live healthy. This young gentleman is like the young man that he was talking about who threw the firecracker. He's very rambunctious, very rebellious, has a lot of energy, very bright personality. But I was the only one that was able and capable of giving him direction. He calls me his father. Like, to me, that's not a privilege. That's an obligation. Like when you acknowledge me as someone that can be your father, I take that seriously. So I was taking him to school. I was making sure he got fed. I was making sure that he go to his family court dates. I made sure that he went to probation. I made sure that when he was missing, that I found him. I made sure that he was good. And for all of that, your own people will sit there and turn on you. His own mom's is not in agreement with the work that I'm trying to do for her son. She told me her exact words that she want to send him back to juvenile detention. I said, if you knew what it was to be in prison or incarcerated, you wouldn't say that. And being that I had that experience, I knew that wouldn't be the appropriate way to be able to address this child. You know what I'm saying? So being that I decided to go against her and others who felt like, this kid is not savable, or they're not willing to put the mechanisms in place to save him, I have to answer to John Law now. And I'm willing to do that. Because at the end of the day, man, these are the sacrifices that we have to make in order to set the tone. Revolutions are not fought by the faint of heart. It's fought by those who have, hearts of steel, people who are willing, you know, to be persecuted, who are willing to have their integrity, their lives, questioned and examined, having their motives doubted, you know. But at the end of the day, man, I don't falter. Those of you who've been with me in different facilities know that. Like I
Yeah,
know falter, and
yeah,
then and the young people I work with, and even the ones that are now in their 30s, all can attest to that.
yeah. We all bear witness to that, and I know Jamel Saladin. Before we get back to Joe, because I know Joe, he wants to put that into perspective too. And thank you for that empowerment, man. We love you. I know Jamel Saladin been waiting, and KK had his hand up as well. What's up? What's up?
Yeah,
What's up, Mr. Saladin? What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up to the panel? Can y'all hear me? We good?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we can
sir.
hear you,
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
brother.
hear you,
okay.
man. Good,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. Peace to everybody, man.
Peace
Yeah,
to
I
you, man.
love your show. I love what y'all doing, man.
Thank you,
And
man.
I just wish there was more shows like this. And to the brother that was just talking, first of all, you're an angel in that person's life. You was meant to be there. So that's how that's going there. So you already received the message in your heart what you're supposed to be doing. I can hear that in your heart. You don't have to convince us you ain't gonna falter, bro, because we believe you. So just stand a good fight, man. I'm unhappy to hear that you're going through those things, but you're supposed to be doing what you're doing. The good brother up top, what's your name again, bro? Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, good seeing you again, bro. You touched on so many things, and I'm only gonna tap on a few because so many points you touched on. But the first thing I start with, as Mikey B knows, is that you touched on is know thyself. That is the like we can't. The, so I teach in schools. I teach in after school programs. I do have a non for profits, but I didn't get any grants. So I was running that program out of pocket for a long time, and I teach computer science and life skills. Um, uh, mainly in Westchester, New York. But the first thing I always start with is know yourself, because that's just you're not going to get very far to the rest of the steps without understanding that basic element. So when we talk about the question was, what are some of the things that we can do to solve this issue? Um, and of course, education, that's going to come up first, right? And after that, like Joe said, what happened to logic and reason? We don't teach these things anymore, right? So logic and reason tells me to look at the tools that are being used to attract the majority of the youth without blaming it on the music, because the facts are the facts. So if I say, okay, what's getting their attention, and music happens to be the answer, okay, that definitely goes on the board. If entertainment happens to be that, but whatever the answer is, I'm using my logic and my reason at this point to see what they into. That's the way I'm going to reach them. Then after that, I kind of see who is in charge of these these paradigms that we said has their attention. Who are the people that's in charge of them? Because my next step after that, I'm about to go reach out to these people. Now, let's bring it in a little bit closer, because the reason I tap dance around that is because people do get sensitive when I start talking about it's the music and stuff like that. So therefore, I would go to the leaders of those industries, or whatever it is that really has the kids' attention. I would go to the leaders in that, and I would say, well, before I even do that, you got to have a coalition, right? I love that story, the Tower of Babel, in the Bible, where the people were all working together and they had solidarity and they were trying to build a tower to the heavens. Now, if we take this symbolic or if we take it literal, the fact is that they were all working together. And then the story is so great that it kind of shows you what happens when you're not on the same page and you're not talking the same language. And then after that, guess what? The people never built the tower. They never got the higher consciousness. They never built it to heaven. However you symbolize it, but it's a great story because it tells us right then and there we have to work together. You understand? So you get like-minded people, and once you have those like-minded people, then you say, okay, obviously that's the most effective. That's marketing to our youth, and if we want them to change, Yuri Benzinoff, he was a KBG defector, right? And he had warned the U.S. that of Russia's plan to come in and take their time and systematically brainwash the citizens over a period of time. He said this would take 15 to 20 years. Now, I'm not saying he's the expert. I'm just telling you what the defector said. If this is true, if this is going to take 15 years, 15 to 20 years to brainwash a people efficiently, then we have to consider that it's going to take at least that, the minimum, the same amount of time to deprogram these people.
And real quick, Saladin, and I know KK wanted to say something, but I want to ask Joe. KK, please hold your thought. And I know Mikey want to add on. Joe, and I know you have knowledge regarding, and we all have a little bit of knowledge, but on a more expert level in regards to your role and your position. Can you please help us get an understanding of what post-traumatic stress disorder is and how it correlates with all of this? Because I think when I'm listening to all this, there's so many different layers of what's taking place here. So we were speaking about what's been taken. So just for the record, those that's just pulling up, we've been talking about a lot of what's been taking place in the media as of late. Myself, Mikey B, and KK have been speaking about it off and on at various episodes where we've been talking about the situation, whether it's been with Young Dolph, King Von, K Flock, the indictments that's been taking place with Gunna and thugging them down there in Georgia, and then with Casanova, and so all of this is a part of what we're speaking about. And this leading to prison system, or worse, a grave. And this whole culture of fratricide and destruction and the impact that it's having on our people, to the extent that we are becoming desensitized. It's become a norm that we see it so much that nobody's even emotionally moved by it no more, right? Yeah. I want to kind of ask that question, Joe. Please help us understand what PTSD is and its relation to these conditions or these ills that have been plaguing us. Please kind of put that into perspective for us, bro.
Definitely. PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And what happens, or what post-traumatic stress disorder is an event occurs. Now, the event is subjective. And what I mean by subjective, someone can experience a traumatic event from two vantage points. Let's take a car accident, right? Somebody standing on a sidewalk hears a car slams into each other, boom. And as they remember the sounds and the sights of the visualization of people bleeding the glass, whatever the smoke, this creates in them a traumatic event, a traumatic experience, a traumatic event. The same way that person standing on the corner experienced this event, the person in the car can experience the event from their lens and their vantage point, which then also triggers for them the remembrance of this traumatic event. So PTSD is oftentimes a trigger that takes the individual back into that space, that state, and that time when that traumatic event happened. So if it's somebody that was in war and they're sitting down and they have an event where they're jumping and they just like it triggers their brain that they're in war again. Now, for us and our communities, PTSD comes in various ways, from a cousin getting shot to the remembrance of a loved one who was gone, to someone being shot themselves, to it being wrapped about and on the news so much that it's so desensitized that when an occurrence hits home, it creates a reaction. the reaction is typically, or as of late, has been one of nihilism. Nihilism is, how do you annihilate a thing, right? And so when we talk about keeping it on the eye, right? I remember one of my older cousins' best friends getting killed in school in 1992, in high school, right? From that point forward, I had this feeling that I was going to die by the time I was 16. The post-traumatic event of Elo getting killed and Jeff triggered me to believe I was going to die by the time I'm 16.
I remember that. I remember that.
So because I'm going to die by the time I'm 16, I'm killing everybody. That response is a state of PTSD, a response from a post-traumatic event. Now, when we look at our communities and where our communities are structured, the things that our communities experience, we're talking about compounded PTSD. We're talking about there's no emotional intelligence. And more importantly, there's emotional dysregulation.
Yeah, because you don't even get time to recover.
You don't even know what you actually feel. You just went 0 to 100. You stabbed that dude. Now, when the adrenaline is subsiding, now that's when the thinking part of the brain kicks in, and now is, oh shit, I ain't mean to do that. This is what our community is suffering from. And we can't be remiss with this legalized weed, because now, like, remember, substances have been a major part of our community's downfall. We can trace it back. Opium, Vietnam times, got into the dope, got into the alcohol, got into the cigarettes and the nicotine. Then it was into the crack, back into the dope. Then it was to the X and all the other designer drug shits. Then it went to the water and the dip, and now we going in these waves and circles.
You left out one too, Joe, and I wanted to touch on it earlier, but
What,
not
the
too.
weed or alcohol?
We're gonna I'm gonna touch it, and we can keep on moving forward. Inoculation. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all.
Inoculation.
Yo, it's funny you say that. KK, what's up? Because you had your hand up about 20 minutes ago, and
I don't even because certain things was touched, but when I had one off, Livewire had called, right, and I told him that older brothers was on, and realize I don't know, he got natural life, right, and this is motivating for him, like. And just for the people that's out there going through stuff, like a good brother, man, he's fighting every day to try to get out, to try to get home. And just knowing how serious things are, wishing he can be in this situation to be able to speak, to be able to help, to be able to do something for his family. That's all he talks about in there, trying to help his family out, help his sister, his niece, his mom's, like always trying to help someone. And just looking at what's been lost, man. And he just like, man, you ain't gotta say nothing, man. Cause I know y'all speaking for me. But I just wanted to just mention him though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's brothers like that, man, that give me reminders as well on what's going on and how serious this struggle is and what we're fighting for and how many lives are being lost, both due to incarceration, whether it be mentally or losing their life altogether. You know how serious this thing is in this fight that we are actually in. And I wanted to say something to the brother and finally, like, you're not alone, no, bro. Nah, I know you be out there struggling, you're going through what you're going through. Not alone. There's people working behind the scenes. You're trying to make some stuff happen. And hopefully with this, we touch more people, because this ain't just I don't like talking just to talk. You know what I mean? And my guys don't like talking just to talk. I mean, so hopefully, you know what I mean, some results get done, and this be not just a warning, but an eye opener for others as well. I mean, and we keep go ahead, bro. Let's keep it going.
Mikey, you've been silent, Mikey. What's up, man? You know, I know.
Yo, I
you
love
got
to hear the
something
brother speaking, bro. You know, I'll be up here running my mouth all the time. You know what I'm saying? Joe, we don't have Joe all the time. We don't have Saladin. We don't have Infal Main. So, I want to hear these brothers. But just to tell Livewire we send our regard. You know what I'm saying? Free us rise up and record him. We need his voice to
Yeah.
add to this.
Yeah.
And tell him to work in prison like we were working in prison. We all did work in prison, bro. We didn't just start. We didn't just come out here and start.
That's a fact.
We just started in prison. The elders told us to step up, that we had this alternative lead, and that's what we did, right? Infame?
Facts.
We was graduated into this. We were in the classes, we played the roles, and we need these guys in prison to hear their voices.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? You said that because I thought about a class.
Record it, and we'll post it. We need his voice. We need everybody to add their voices, bro.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's
We
dope.
need all hands on deck, bro. All hands on deck, bro. When you start doing the work, like you said, it's people doing the work behind the scenes. When we was in prison, me, you, KK, all of us were in prison, except Jamal Saladin, I think. Our names were in the streets. And they only heard war story of us. They heard the worst parts of us in these streets. They heard about Moshe and what he did with counselors, the other cops, and breaking stuff up, and me and what I was doing and what you was doing, and our gang affiliations and all the violence. But they didn't hear how we was helping young dudes and mentoring people in prison. So we need to make sure that's being vocalized and that's being pushed through these airwaves, and that's not being passed along, so dudes know that, even in our times, the lowest points of our lives when we were doing wrong, we still, tried to help others, and this would help us make the transition to be who we are today, bro. It was all steps, you know what I'm saying? So, it's a great thing that he wants to add his voice, and we need all the voices out here that we can have, bro. You know what I'm saying? Tell him to send his voice out here, and I'm gonna let y'all brothers go in, but tell him to add his voice, bro. We need everybody's all hands on deck, bro.
So I want us to do something a little bit different here. Like, I mean, we got all these great minds on this panel, and we all agree on some things. I mean, what are some of the things that we disagree with, right? So, I know I speak to each and every one of you guys individually. I mean, with the exception of Sha. What up, Sha? Thanks for pulling up, man. What's going on?
Too long.
Peace,
I just
y'all.
want to say one thing.
What's up, man? Talk real quick, man. What's
All
up,
right, real
bro?
quick. I just want to tell y'all, man, I really appreciate y'all, Mo. Yo, Mikey B, yo, Saladin. Keep doing what y'all doing. My brother up there that was talking about the PSC. I love y'all, man. I sincerely love y'all. That's what this is about, building. That's what this shit is about. That's what's missing, the building. Everybody quick to destroy some shit, man.
Yeah.
I love y'all, man. Let me sit back and watch y'all, man.
Yo,
Love you, Sha. Love you, Sha.
Yo, and that's bro right there. And I wanted to say we differ on things, right? But with the exception of Saladin, is that I kind of spend time with each and every one of you guys individually. So we kind of all have special relationships. So what are some of the things we know we agree on? What are some of the things we disagree on that have also that we identify as being problems, but we have different approaches as to how we're going to solve these problems? And I think I want to start with Infalme, because I know my brother, me and Infalme, and let me tell you something, me and Infalme, man, we done fought intellectually over the last 1999, man. We've been going, but you know what? We have a lot of things in common, but we don't always agree. But I love my brother to death. So what's your take on what you see in terms of contextualizing what the subject matter is about, Infalme, in terms of viable solutions as to how you might disagree with something that was said, and what you think might be a best approach in terms of helping us get to where we need to go overall?
Yeah, my biggest pet peeve has always been like the lack of economic, or the lack of consideration to the economic proponents that affect what's going on a social level. Like, people don't really look at that. Like, we live in this is what I always say. I say that we live in a society that is built upon or founded upon white supremacy. And it's a capitalist system. You know what I'm saying? So not only is it a system that has racism embedded in its very institutions, it is also a class system that pits people who have against those who don't. And when you look at some of the social problems that we're looking at, like with the violence among the youth. You know, some people can point to the music and say that's part of the reason, but you can also tie the music to economics, because like my son say, you know, my son is a good friend of mine, and he has his Boycott Black Murder you know, campaign going, and his idea is that, yo, we need to start holding some of these music execs and et cetera accountable for incentivizing, you know, the murder of Black people. You know, and there was a video that was posted by a white guy who was basically, you know, saying that he was in the industry and he had recognized, because of his, you know, his actual, you know, research and going to radio stations and asking them what type of music they would be willing to play. You know, he was saying that they wouldn't be willing to play music that glorifies date rape, or music that glorifies, like, you know, gay bashing, or, you know, any type of, you know, music that is politically incorrect. They're not going to play it. But if they play a song where you about to kill a nigga, that's okay. That works. You understand what I'm saying? We can make money off of that. It's economically sound. You do, if you play any of that other music, those communities that are aggrieved by that will boycott the shit out you. You see what I'm saying? So they're not going to do that. It's like, it's not selling, but you don't see the Black community and other people boycotting the fact that some of the music that is being perpetrated in our communities actually celebrates the murder of Black life. You know, so it all revolves around economics. And if we can't get a handle on that, if we can't figure out a way to incentivize the change, there can be no change. You know, we can talk about the psychological damages, we can talk about the social damages, we can come up with programs, classes, etc. But until you figure out a way to incentivize economically change in a capitalist society, it's not going to go, because this society actually benefits and profits off of the misery of the poor. It's a classist, racist society. There has to be an underclass. There has to be a lower class in order for this society to function. And the safety valve that they utilize to prevent the bottom class from exploding are prisons, the music, drugs, alcohol, because it's all profitable. Marijuana now, they legalized that so we can get paid off that. It's all profitable. But the people who are going to consume these things are disproportionately people of color and people who are poor. So until we figure that out, we could talk about these issues all day. If we can come up with viable solutions that, well, I'm going to say solutions that seem viable all day, and the most that we're going to do is scratch the surface. We're going to make impact.
How do we, to give you some pushback, my brother, how do we address the economical ills plaguing us, but yet we haven't addressed the psychological ills first? I mean, isn't that like putting the cart before the horse? Now, not to suggest, or is it simultaneous? Are both?
It has to. That's the thing I'm saying. It has to be simultaneous, you know, because how long, like the brother said, how long would it take to brainwash people back into a certain reality? You know, how do you reform the psyche? You know, he said 15 years. I mean, do we have 15 years to you know, to do this job? Do we have 15 years that we're willing to, like, you know, put to this task? Because I mean, we had these discussions, me, you, Mikey B, a few others, 15 years ago.
So Darren Mack is asking, and I know you want to say something, Joe. He's asking, so is the brother saying that we become capitalists as well, knowing that?
No.
I mean, that's what he's asking.
That's not what he was saying.
Hold on, that's what he's saying. It's a question in the chat. He's saying, is the brother saying that we become capitalists?
Yeah, we are capitalists.
I wouldn't say we should become capitalists, but we better master this system, though.
I would say that, because now
we need to be doing. But we're definitely capitalists.
Here's the catch. When we talk about capitalism, right?
Talk.
This is what we don't. That's why I'm saying we got to inform ourselves. The Black spending power in 2021 was $1.6 trillion.
Talk to me.
So it's not that we don't got money. We got bread. It's what we spending our money on. We spending our bread trying to look like this ideal. We spending our bread on sabotaging our body with the shit that we feed ourselves. We spending our bread on cars and jewelry and a bunch of things that we don't need, as opposed to taking that bit of money and saying, let me make this money make me some money. Our community got money. If you think about how much they spend on weaves, if you think about how much they spend on weed, if you think about how much they spend on clothes and kicks, our community got money. It's we're not willing to band together as a unity, as a people, as a collective identity. Why is the LGBTQ such a strong position and force today when yesteryear they weren't? Because despite the different races, despite the different classes, they amongst themselves have a unified identity that they rally behind. And when they make that stance, they now become a political block. So things get moved in their favor. The same thing with Jewish people. The same thing with other migrants or immigrants that have come into this country and have established a little Italy, a little Ireland. Well, there ain't no little Ireland, but you get my point. These pockets, these enclaves of our society, they each adopt a unified identity and they ratify behind that identity, and there's no way of getting amongst them. Us as a people, historically, oh shit, when we just go back to how we even got over here, how was the slave trade successful? It wasn't that the white man was stepping on African soil, just smoking and snatching up blacks or slaves or Africans. No, it was this tribe already beefing with that tribe. So I'm gonna give you these little shiny trinkets. Go give me 5 of them dudes. Okay, let me get rid of my enemies. Get up out of here. Now what's happening in our community? We see one another as ops. This is something that is, I don't even know what to call it.
And man. Historically intrinsic. That's what it is.
Historically intrinsic.
It's historically intrinsic. And I want to touch on that, Joe. Man, I love this conversation. So everything you mentioned there, the LGBTQ community, the Irish community, anybody you name, the difference is that they can articulate that their identity easier than us. And by me saying that is, I call this white noise. What happens is when it's time for us to start to unify together, and people start to say, well, I'm going to just talk freely here. So I don't mean to offend anybody, but I need to talk freely so that you understand me. People start saying, hey, don't call me black, I'm more. Then you got this person to say, hey, I'm African American. I don't subscribe to that. Then you got people that say, listen, man, there was no slaves. We was already here. You see what I'm saying? And this is the things I call white noise, because it's like, bro. So I had a show where I said, okay, well, how can we get on one accord? What can we all call ourselves so that we could just knock all of that out the way? Because it's not helping us at all every time we faction off into these small pockets of smaller cultures. That's a human being, but then it doesn't identify with us as melanated people either.
Why not?
Because then other people, other races are within the human family, and then we cannot say
anybody that's willing to assist us in our struggles should be accepted. Hear me out. Europeans helped me get out of prison for free. They volunteered their time. They came to see me with my own friends. They come to see me at. Some of them never came to see me at. And they came there. They taught me. They helped me with my interview skills. They helped me with paperwork, and they got me out of prison. So anybody that's willing to assist in the struggle of our peoples should be accepted. So we're human beings at the end of the day. I mean, when you the whole thing is we broken down into all these different nationalities and different tribes or cultures or whatever you want to call it. And this is what makes it easiest for us to be controlled, because we are divided.
Yeah.
So
Let me say something.
The more we can lose the division, the better we'll be.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, go
And
ahead, KK.
one of
Yeah,
the
KK.
things though, I've never had an issue with any of the well, you say melanated people, any of them saying that, right? One of the reasons why was because understanding, right? Some people have more information than others, and why they were saying that because they actually, some of them actually understood that being called black or African American was actually taking power from them, right? And some of them actually stood on that and represented it. So on a world scale, it's like you play on nationality. On a world scale, your nationality is what matters, is what counts. So now us over here, we don't have a real nationality. African American is not a real nationality. Being called black is not a real nationality. It was just a title and label that was bestowed upon us and used for political reasons, right? So other people that I've met, other black
Black
people that I've
came from
met,
the Black Power movement.
yeah, but other people that I've met,
That's
whether
what black came from.
Nigerian or you saying you French Canadian
That's
or
what.
whatever, right?
No, black didn't come from the Black Power movement. Black
did.
came from Johann Blumenbach, who's the European supremacy
No, I'm
student.
talking about. Listen, hear me out. I'm talking about us, our people's accepting the title of being called in black came from the Black Power movement of the '60s. That's where that came from. I'm
Yeah,
black,
being
I'm
called,
proud.
yeah.
The Black Panthers and all the music and song and culture that came out of the '60s, the '50s and the '60s. This is where black came from.
Yeah,
Before,
but
hold on. Let me continue. Let me finish this thought. Before that, what we called in America,
Negro.
Negro. It went from Negro to black, bro.
But Negro, that's what Negro actually means.
To African American. No, Negroid.
Yeah, Necro. But it all goes back to that. The whole point is just that even being able to touch base with
Oh
others
no, colored.
is
You were
understanding.
called colored before. Excuse me, colored.
Yeah, colored too. Yeah.
Colored before black and proud. Martin Luther King. It was colored.
So after
It
that,
was colored.
Mikey B, there was a white supremacist who started the race class system, and there was 5 race classes that he started, and black was in there. That's how the world started to accept the word black to represent.
You got to give me years on this because
I look it up.
Black and white.
We digressing, gentlemen.
Yeah, we are digressing.
The thought,
yeah,
we are
I was
digressing,
about
let's
to
get
I was
this
about
information
to
into
only,
let's put this information into the world so these people can, if they need this information, they can come to it. Let's not, since we got it, let's not leave it out there in case they need it in the chat for future references or for any references they have it. Let's get that.
Yeah, the
Right?
whole point
The
of
thought
this
and
thing
black
is
came
understanding perspectives, though.
from
This is how we
slavery.
actually come together, bro.
From
1840.
Before slavery in the world, there was no thoughts of white and black. That was not a thing. That was never called in Europe. You look at books and stuff like that. It was never white and black until they invented chattel slavery. Before that time, black and white was never a thing in the world. It came from then. All right, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say in terms of, because we only one person kind of like answered the question, which was Infound Me, in terms of our differences, right? Because there are differences amongst us, and I wanted to know how can we look at those differences to kind of like help us address. Everybody has their own unique way of seeing something, right? So, for instance, let me just put it into perspective. One of my differences that I know we all share is my perspective on how divided we are, right? Some people kind of have a utopian way of looking at it, like when we're speaking about what we need to do as a people, as if we're all speaking the same language. While we may be speaking the language of English, we are very divided as a people. Like, I mean, we are divided on a level that we can't even imagine. So trying to implement and incorporate or even convince individuals of our ideologies may even be the problem itself, because we have to go to so many divisive or so many individualistic communities themselves and kind of come to them with our own ideologies as a form of indoctrination, right? We have so many, listen, there is so many different things wrong with that right there in and of itself. Look at the rappers that we're talking about. Let's bring it back to the basis of the conversation. The rappers themselves are creating music and the music itself has been used as a tool to divide and conquer them amongst themselves.
Thank you.
All right?
Boom.
Even within prison itself, right? The prison movement within itself has a bunch of divisions and layers and things of that nature, right? So this has ultimately contributed to this destructive cycle of fratricide, right? So we are literally like a powder keg about to explode on various levels. All we're doing is perpetuating this cycle of self-destructive behavior, right? So what I believe is that we don't have a viable solution to none of these problems.
Moshe.
Everybody is speaking about what these problems are and what some of the solutions should be, but we don't have a uniform a solution as to what we should do to overcome it. And the reason why is because Joe said it from the beginning. The system itself has made it so that we won't have a uniform way of overcoming our oppression like that. So that's why it's difficult for us to be able to try to overcome it, because we just seem like we don't know where to turn left and right, because that is exactly what the system has in place. But I apologize, man. I probably digressed a little bit.
I don't think you did.
I'm glad you mentioned. I'm glad you said that though, because you took me back. You took me back somewhere, right? And this is something that we end up doing when we you know, in prison. Just saying, we actually start. We study the opposition, the real opposition, right? Those are trying to hold us back. Those are trying to keep us from moving forward. Those that took away our freedom. So we started looking at those particular things. So this system that was set into place, and we know in this system that there's a bunch of loopholes, a bunch of them. And one of the things being that United States, as far as it being a baby, as far as in the world scheme of things. So we study history to find our place. This is what we all learn, right? We study history to find our place right now. So one of the things that was always correct was have your own. That was always the motto. Get your own, get your own. So now in the system, how do we actually do that? How do we actually get our own, right? So now in the system, how do we get our own? You look to business structures, look to how to formulate companies, societies, whatever we need to formulate, right? I already know which particular one, right? So say you can apply for something in the United Nations to start a society. So now say you take this, right? You create your own. You start pulling in like-minded individuals, right? That's on the same page. This is what we're doing. We're creating our own. We're building our own. Oh, I got a family. My family from Jamaica, man. They be out there fishing, and they got a whole community out there. Word, yo, my cousin, he live in Brooklyn. He got a storefront, man. We can get a boat or something, man. We put some money up, get a boat. We can get that fish that y'all get and put it in our store, and we can just start exchanging the bread back and forth. We send y'all money, y'all send us fish, boom, boom. Something as small as that, right? Where you're creating your own, right? With a few people. But then now you keep on actually adding on to it. You keep on adding on to it, right?
But
somebody else is doing something else. Somebody else is doing something else.
Let me push back though. Some would argue that this is exactly what some of the rappers are doing. Now, hold on. Check it out, right? If you notice, when individuals are coming into the game, there's an emphasis, the rap game, that is. There's an emphasis on identity. You have to establish your identity. People are coming in with their cliques. Every clique has a name, right? Every clique has to go up against other cliques. It's already designed that your identity is going to oppose other individuals who are already in the game. So no matter what, you're going to find yourself at odds with individuals.
So we don't look for that.
Hold on. You got individuals who come from these poverty-stricken communities who we know should be using these opportunities to help themselves overcome their oppression, but yet they themselves are pitted against other individuals, and then now they become each other's ops. So the purpose of pooling their resources to help individuals rise up out of their oppressive conditions now kind of nullifies and negates and invalidates the fact that these other individuals are doing the same thing, because at the end of the day now, it's beef amongst themselves. Look at what's going on in Chicago. Look at what's going on with the Chicago rappers. That's Kev Mo?
Yo.
That's Kev Mo? Yo, I'm tired of you too, bro.
Piece of the channel. How y'all feeling, man?
Yo, what's up, bro, man? Shout it out, man.
I
apologize, man. I just went off for a minute, man.
Passed in, man, and this right here just hit. Oh, something that I was talking about at the mentorship program that I have in North Carolina yesterday, and that really hit. And I said something in the chat, and it kind of hit when I heard what Saladin said. He said some peace, Saladin, too, brother.
Peace
to the whole panel again. But
Peace, bro.
Saladin says something that shit type like registered like differently because of where I came from and what I'm not actively doing as far as in the free society with our people. I don't discriminate because my daughter is half white. You feel me? She's half Sicilian, but a lot of Sicilians don't even know about their heritage, about Hannibal and things of that nature. So it's a lot of things that comes with discrepancy with how we go about things. And that's what a lot of people is failing to pay attention to. The things that we do. We always pay attention to other people, but we have yet to take a lot of, how you say, I don't want to say negative feedback, but like we have yet to take a lot of responsibility for the things that we create as a people.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Camo? What are some examples of what you're talking about?
Okay, I only can speak from my personal experience. Just like a bunch of the brothers that I know personally that I live with, not in the free society, but more so in the incarcerated society that's here right now that I'm talking to, that we created something that's bigger than anything that I have ever seen in my life. That's just me personally. From where I come from. I come from the Bronx, Castle Hill, and Soundview. So the things that I've seen or saw or still see, it's coming together, but at the same time, it has yet come together from people that created these things, which is us.
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from? Like
I get exactly where you're coming from.
Like for instance, and I'm gonna speak directly now with a little more detailedness. How about that? For instance, it doesn't matter when I pass away or while I'm here. I'm Damu till it's over with. There's no change in that. There's nothing going away from that. There's nothing going out of me from that period. Because of the teachings and enlightenment that I came upon. So there's things that's in what I took upon in my life, which is 21 years of my life, that can never be changed unless me and individuals, and I don't, point fingers, but this is the truth though. Individuals such as myself, Moshe, Mikey B, KK has instilled in the people of our community, which is Black Wall Street, if individuals know what Black Wall Street means. That's what I mean about accountability. That part.
Okay, Joe Williams. Kevin Mo, man, I love you, man. I ain't see you in like 8 months. Where you been? But
I've been
and we supposed to meet up too.
Listen,
we supposed to meet up too.
But I take care of, man, with the upliftment. That's about it, man. And staying away from the bottom, man. That's it. That's
y'all working on something for August 27th too, man. I'm gonna hit you up once everything is confirmed, bro.
Okay. So Joe Williams. First of all, for everybody that's pulled up for the first time, y'all listening to We Locked In. If y'all never listened to this before, y'all already know what y'all about to hear something. And y'all gonna be like, oh, this is something different. For those that's already subscribed to the channel, y'all already know what y'all getting. Y'all getting that fire content. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Please hit that notification bell so every time we go live, you get that notification. And at least share it with one person, man. Somebody who you got influence over, man. Please,
hit that
man.
super chat button.
Yeah, they do got the super chat button now. Do hit that joint.
Hit that super chat button. Support the people.
Please, man.
So real quick before you go, and I want to say something to Jamel Saladin and to all of y'all brothers. Yo, Jamel, you said you got a nonprofit organization. Why you ain't call us down in to speak and to support you?
Word.
This is what Joey P talked about from the beginning.
Word.
We show up, bro. We ain't the dudes that's up here just talking on the internet and don't be outside and don't be pulling up. We're gonna pull up and support you, bro.
Yeah,
we gotta help
that
build
part.
that whole thing.
Say that.
We gotta pool our assets and our resources. The name of my company is Hood Love for a reason, like Joey said. And one of the things, like Moshe said, was instead of just having, we gotta have solutions. Right. One of my solutions from back in the days, I started this company in 2005, bro.
Definitely.
Almost 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I started Hood Love in 2005, Hood Love LLC with my wife Shayna.
Gotcha.
But I said that to say this.
I remember we used an ad to get together.
We are in hoods. I live in a house in a good neighborhood, and my neighbor right across from me, my neighbor next to me, I talk to him, but I don't really talk to my neighbors. We don't. It's not. I don't live in a hood. I live in a neighborhood, but we don't share resources or communicate or do things, community things together. So it's really not a neighborhood. What Joey was saying was right earlier. We live in hoods. And I knew this from back then. So I said, you know what? First, we got to take one step at a time because we can't get it all back in one swipe. We got to establish hood love. We got to just establish hood love first. And we can just establish hood. We don't got no hood love. We don't got, like you said, we in hoods and we live in hoods, but we don't even love these hoods. We don't even love the people that are in the hoods with us. We going to war with dudes right up the block from us, right on our blocks, around the corner. So how do we even love our own communities? So, you know, my thoughts was just to establish hood love. Let's establish hood love. And from there, we can rebuild out by sharing community and resources and sharing things. You know, we can reestablish our neighborhoods, our community.
Hey yo, being that you just said that, man, we might just have to really talk on a thing to get something going to actually start a hood love tour.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Unification is the best.
For the record, I did bring this up when we spoke months ago.
Yeah,
and I did say let's all meet up. Okay.
So let me guess. You came up with the idea that we need to have a hood love tour to go all around the country. So this is what I be talking about.
I already talked about hood love tour. I already thought about it. I got it written down already, KK. So
good.
That's easy.
So
all we got to do is put it together. I got it written down already. You know, my plans are like. I was just telling somebody I got the next 10 moves is already planned. I already wrote that plan out in prison, the Hood Love Tour. So
nice.
We establish it we can. But back to you, Jamel, real quick. Jamel.
Yes, sir.
Call us out. I went and just spoke in Harlem. I live in Syracuse, New York.
Right.
I ain't afraid to say it. I live in Syracuse, New York. I got to drive back up here. I could have stopped in Westchester and talked to your youth. I could have helped you. Or I can shoot down. You know, you a couple of hours away.
I can't wait, man.
Listen, my car work.
All right.
I use my vehicle, and I'm moving around. So to do something like that, I'm always gonna make it my business to make a stop and to help you out. Okay. So let's start unifying. When y'all got these things, let us know. Bro, I need your help on this. I need help on that, and let's start. Really building our community.
So real quick, right? And we got West Coast Watts up in the building, man.
Jay
Burton up in the building. We got Jay Burton.
Cut some light on real quick.
We got Jay Burton up in the joint. Yo, listen, man. I want to say something. Because Joey
got Bucks in the building.
Yo, Bucks, what's the deal, man?
Salute.
Out, man.
How y'all doing?
Yo, Joe Williams, I know you got a lot to say about this topic, right? So I know one of the things that you studied is psychotherapy. This is something that you are expert in. So psychologically, because in Falme position is that we need to focus on economics. I want to ask you, right? Do you think that this is something that we need to do simultaneously? Is this something we need to do simultaneously, or is something from a psychotherapeutic standpoint? We need to focus on the psyche first, because our people are suffering psychologically. Mental health issues like you wouldn't, not you in this case, like we wouldn't imagine. What is the issue that we need to address first? Is it the psyche, or is it the economics, or is it simultaneous?
So I'm gonna say that it's more simultaneous than anything, and I'll use the human body as an example. The brain doesn't function in apart from how the heart functions. Neither the heart nor the brain functions apart from how the respiratory system functions. Each system functions together to create homeostasis so that the total being can move as functional as possible, right? So if we take that example, just that basic example right there, and apply it to our community and to our society, um, I'm gonna say that it can be done through economics, through unity, but more important, our individuals have to start learning how to love themselves.
Facts.
Yeah.
History.
I think that.
But how can we start to love ourselves?
I'm gonna get to that because it's in the absence of knowledge of who you are that you behave a certain way. How you think informs how you act and how you behave. If you think that you are a pawn, you are going to behave as a pawn behaves. You will not behave and function as a king functions.
If you're not talking, please mute yourselves, please.
Now, with this idea of education and the knowledge of self, it's also understanding. I don't just study psychotherapy, psychology, mental health. I study behavioral health. I study emotional health. I study how these different instances interact with one another that makes us us, who we are, who we see, how we move, how we function. A lot of the things, and this is what I always like to say, trauma trumps race, it trumps class, it trumps gender. Trauma impacts and affects everybody the way it affects them. So if we have individuals who are born to two traumatized youth, right, who have traumatizing parenting tactics based on their own parenting tactics or what they experienced when they were a child at the hands of their parents, living in a traumatized community with a traumatizing education system, a traumatizing media system, a traumatizing environment that they go out to play in, what do we expect from these individuals and how we expect them to behave and interact? They see themselves and their brothers and their sisters as ops, as niggas, as bitches, as hoes, as not shit, good for nothing niggas, as my baby daddy, as my baby mama. And because that's the way they see one another, that's how they interact with them. And based on that interaction, this is the outcome of our communities. So how do we affect total change, global change, impactful change? It's not just with the youth when we in the high schools and in the community centers, because the youth got to go back to the neighborhood. The youth got to go back home to their moms and the pops. And the moms is struggling with issues, body issues with relationships being cheated on, issues with inherent mental health issues of finances, issues of elders getting old and now they got to take care of this youth and this aging human. And then what about me? What about my life? You got men who don't understand the emotions that they're feeling. They don't understand their place in this world and this society. They don't understand where they belong in the family and how to function as a family. So because of this identity crisis and this toxic masculinity, they're functioning as males and not as men. So we're not building our community. We're not building kingdoms. We're replicating systems having kids with women that's going to have a little one that's going to act like how we used to act, and that cycle perpetuates. So we change it by educating the individual about their kingship, about their queenship. We change it by educating the mothers and the fathers, the grandparents as well. We change it by impacting the school system and what's being taught to our youth. This is how we change it.
Hold on, Joe. Minister King, man. Minister King just pulled up. Come on, man. We got an Oakland legend in the building. We got Jay Burton in the building from Watts. Listen, man. I need to hear some of this West Coast wisdom, man. We hearing all this love, man. These my brothers, man. These our brothers.
We got West Coast in the building,
Listen,
man.
We got the Oakland brothers that's
Hit
on
that
the front
man.
lines,
Share
man.
this right here.
Yo, free
East
Jay
Coast,
Burton,
West
man.
Coast,
Free Jay Burton, bro. Wow.
Listen, man. What's up, Mr. Burton, my brother, man? How you been, man?
Hey, you know, first and foremost, I always got to send my love to the East Coast. Y'all showed me a lot of love. Me and my boy Mikey B, he let me co-host yesterday. We locked in, so we gonna always stay locked in. And for those that don't know, those that's just now getting to know me, my name is Jay Burton. I've been incarcerated for the past 33 years here in California. You know, I grew up as a blood, and I've just politicized the movement since I've been incarcerated. And I'm also an activist. I'm also an author. And I do a lot for the people now. I don't destroy my people anymore. I try to help build the people because, you know, like the brother was saying earlier, you know, we've been indoctrinated with some of the most vile things you can think of, right? So what we have to do, we got to get to the root of that vileness that we was indoctrinated with. We got to go find that seed, get to that root, that seed, and we got to dig that up. So when we dig that up, destroy it and start all the way over. Because I'm telling you, our culture is very influential. When I speak of the culture, I'm talking about the hip hop culture. It's even the gang culture. The gang culture and the hip hop culture is very, very strong and influential, but we doing all the wrong things with it.
Absolutely.
That's what we fucking up. We have the most influential culture in the world, but we're doing all the wrong things with it. We got to change this shit up. When I say I politicized the blood movement, what I did, I had to, straddle the gate with the blood thing and being a conscious brother, right? Because a lot of times, a lot of them youngsters not going to listen to the conscious mind. They're going to listen to the blood side, but the blood side is very, very conscious. So what I do with this conscious thing, I talk like them, I walk like them, and I will appear to be them until I bring them up out of that session.
Yes,
y'all feel me? Because that's the only way we're gonna be able to catch them. And we got to also tweak the tunes in our music, because our music is very powerful. We got to tweak the tunes in that now. Let's tweak it and start talking about, look, okay, if this is what you're gonna do, this is the consequences behind what you're gonna do. Because I can sit and tell you about all the war stories, but I'm not gonna tell you about the consequences of it, because I'm trying to indoctrinate you with the Hollywood version of this gang life. But there is a consequences to this. And the consequences is a long term in prison or death, or you getting smoked out in the end. I'm just one of the small ones that made it through the cracks, not being killed. But I didn't fall through the cracks, because I'm one of the ones who happened to be incarcerated. I was 16. I'm gonna be 50 in a few months. So I want y'all really to try to picture that, being 16 years old. I haven't been out since 1989. I was 16. This is 2022. That's 33 straight years up in here. That's 2/3 of my life. I spent 15 and a half years of my life in jail, because when I was 14, I went to camp for 6 months. Then when I turned 16, these people just kidnapped me. It's just a lot about my case, but I'm not looking for no sympathy, because that's the lifestyle that I was indoctrinated into. I just stayed, just stayed with my mouth closed and kept the line moving, because that's what we were indoctrinated to believe in, to be a gangster. But there's a different form of gangster that we got to start realizing. Wait a minute, gangsters like shit. Moshe and Mikey B, they done got out and they doing some gangster shit. What they doing, they give it back to their community now. KK, they give back to their community. My boy Pieface right here, he'll tell you, man, he was just on the yard with me maybe about 2 years ago. Me and him, we was doing things in these prisons. We was politicizing the movement. We got into doing playwrights, screenplays and stuff. But we know what we was doing? We was peppering our stuff with a lot of social commentary as well. So when you being entertained, you also being fed. See, that's what we got to start doing. We're going to entertain you, but we're going to feed you at the same time. See, we're doing a lot of entertainment, but we're not feeding the people.
Talk.
So they walking around malnourished. I'm talking about mentally.
Yes,
so when you're walking around malnourished mentally, you all fucked up.
Come on.
We got to figure out what to do. We got to. Yeah, I got to go to. Yeah, hold on. Please.
Yo,
hey,
Moshe, listen. Y'all getting the real right now. Y'all getting the real.
Walking, you hear that? I ain't here walking in about a year and a half.
And I don't want to hear it no more. Listen, man.
Hey, Moshe, I do want to talk about something.
Hold on, Saladin. I know you want to talk, big bro. First, I want to say subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share with
that like button, man. Turn it up, man.
Man, turn it up, y'all. Come on, man. Share with the loved ones out there. Nick Sean Clay said, the images that's being pushed out, it's uncommon to see a very positive black image with a strong form of mentality that's different than the mentality in the hood. Also, I want to say, man, please subscribe to her channel, also on YouTube, man, and hit the like button on that. Hit the notification bell. It's the sister named Sean Clay, man. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Make sure everybody that's tuned in right now, man, we support each other. It's positive images out there being propagated and perpetuated over the airwaves, and we need to support each other because we're speaking the same language, man. But sometimes, this energy is not necessarily being embraced. Jamel Saladin, I know you want to say something. I apologize for cutting you off, my brother.
If Almain had his hand up, had his hand up for a minute, though.
Who?
Almain.
Oh, my.
Somebody.
Go Infamy.
Yo, somebody got to turn their mic off too. Get Infamy. My bad, my bro. I apologize, bro.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say is I know that the brother was saying, we do certain things with the cultures that we have that have influence, and I kept asking why. And even when the brother was speaking about some of the solutions about education, the thought still came to my mind. It all goes back to economics because you still need the monetary resources to do these things. You can't educate people on a mass level if you don't have the bread to do it. It costs money to physically purchase buildings, classrooms, desks, tables, paper, pen, all the things that are necessary to bring about these therapeutic programs require economic resources. And for me, if we don't have a discussion about how to get those economic resources, then we can't address the issues that are impacting our communities on any massive level because we don't have the money or resources to do so. So even if we're focused on addressing the psychological trauma, okay, are we talking about on a small level, a group level, a small organizational level? We talking on a statewide level? We talk about on a national level? What are we talking about? We have to scale the program. Where at do we realistically feel that we can implement the solutions? Because I think we're already implementing the solutions. I think the problem that we're not connecting is that we haven't been able to scale those solutions. It's like simple business idea. If I got a business that's making $100,000 in 1 year, my idea is to figure out how to make $1 million the next year. You scale your business. How can I increase my profitability? It's the same with these programs that we have. We have to be able to scale the program or the program or solution to fit a wider audience or a wider demographic of our people. How do we do that? What do we do to scale all these various programs that we all have, or all these various efforts that we're all, implementing in our various locales? If it's on the West Coast in prison, or if it's in East Coast in Syracuse, or if it's in Brooklyn, or if it's in Texas. There are people like us who are doing work, who are in the community doing work. We know that for a fact. The problem is, how do we scale it so that we can see that we're having more of an impact and that we're saving more lives than the lives that we're losing, so we don't come back on a program like this or next year and still talk about the same thing, that we're still stuck in this perpetual cycle of violence trauma, self-destructiveness. How do we change? Like, where do we get that? Where, for lack of a better way, a way of explaining it, how do we get to the bag in order to solve the problems? And how do we get to the bag to scale the solutions that we're already implementing?
Oh, those are critical questions, man. And Jamel
I
Saladin,
got one, man. I got one. First and foremost, salute to the kings on the panel.
Salute, my brother.
Salutations.
So I think, at the end of the day, I think we run astray of who we really are, and some get scared and intimidated by taking on a road that our ancestors had left, which is the blueprint. Now, I say that to say, you got kids coming up, ain't got the mom and pops in the same household, so therefore, nobody leaving them nothing. If you look at it, only our race pretty much is a race that don't leave our kids shit, right? So, when you start talking about like the brother was saying, Black Wall Street, we need to take a page out of that foundation, and we need to start doing like a lot of the brothers up here is doing. Start teaching these brothers how to get their own LLC, how to get their own business, right? And then what you do is you have individuals, because we can't come to these young youths with nothing. You understand? A lot of these young niggas making more money. They making more money than the older generation of brothers. So what we got to do as a whole is everybody individually have to get ahead and align into some type of business. And like the page out of the Black Wall Street, once we conquer that, then everybody come together on that bigger scale, and then they start monopolizing businesses. And then you move forward. So when you done ran your course, then that business will trigger down to your kids. We have to break the trend. We can't keep going on with the trend. Somewhere in this, we got to break it. You know what I mean? We can't keep following the trend. We got to break that trend. And the only way we can break that trend is we have to leave something behind to these kids who want to do right. You understand me? And the only way we can do that is we got to start with self, as y'all was saying earlier. If you don't have knowledge of self, you understand me? You're not going to make it nowhere. So with having that knowledge of self is knowing, let me get ahead and put this in order. So when I know, when I go, I got this to trigger down. I'm a prime example. I got my own. It's young. I'm young starting. You know what I mean? It's a headache. It's hard. But I use the tool where I did this for free. You understand me? So now I know and understand I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing this for mines. When I leave, they can have some. So they don't got to be arguing over, yo, he left me this, or he said I can get this. They got a whole blueprint that they can follow and be successful at doing it, because now you're dealing with more than one. Remember, it's unity. See, we forgetting the little things. ITY, after them three letters. ITY, and then you bring it back. YTI. I teach you, you teach I. We got to bring that back. That's what we losing. We too much trying to follow trend. Somewhere we got to kind of break that trend. We got to get everything documented. It's easy to get an LLC. I'm 46 and I'm just learning this, man. And I know it's way more for me to learn. So as I'm starting to do this now, by the time I reach my peak, I'm teaching my daughter and my son how to move a business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not teaching my son and my daughter how to go cop a key or go get a pound. No, we dealing with numbers, mathematics. Let's get to that. That's the basic of life. Mathematics. Everything is dealing with numbers.
Generational wealth.
Yo,
and we losing that.
We don't have it.
Yo, Daquan, that was powerful, man. And I know, we can have a whole build on that right there alone, man. But I know, everybody has a voice here. And Saladin, I apologize. I know you've been waiting patiently, man. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, Daquan, man. I felt that, man. That was real. And I want to piggyback off that, and I want to double down on what I was saying. So I just wrote down my thoughts. This way I could say it, faster, and then we could pass the mic on. First thing I want to say is, if you get, I don't want to put this on anybody. So if someone gets shot right away, they reach for it. Bow. They reach for the spot they got shot. Why? Why are they holding it? To make sure they stopping the plug. They stopping the blood from coming out. We have to stop that. Now, point being, I hear everyone mentioning, yo, the rap is doing this and the rap is doing that. So what I was dancing around before was really this. Yo, check this out. You're not helping our community. So therefore, I got to look at who's running it. I don't have to individualize each rapper, and then this person feel like, yo, why you talking to me? No. Okay, we got numbers. It's all mathematics, right? What I was saying before is that we all brand together, and then we have to put the pressure on that industry and say we don't like that. And that's the same way we're going to get resources later on, because then we're going to have to band together and we have to figure out what politicians that we need in our community that can help us get those resources in our community. And the reason I say that is because I look at the budget and I itemize the budget as best as I can, because they try to hide the money. When you look at the fiscal budget for even New York State, when it comes down, if you have, it's on Google. If you guys want to take a look at it, just look at where they're spending the money. You guys in California, look at your state budget and look at where they're spending the money at. What I discovered was they spend way less money on prevention than they do on correction. So these are the type of things that we need to pay attention to. And then once we come together in numbers, then we know who to put the pressure on, because they want to get back in the office. And we say, listen, man, we ain't jiving with this, because now we know, we educated, we see what's going on with the money. We want that thing flipped around. Now, let's go back to nationality. When the reason I was speaking on the fact that the LGBTQ community know exactly who they are. Irish community know exactly who they are. Mexican, they all have a nationality, or they can articulate their identity. Now, the reason, in my opinion, we have so many sub-factions of, when we say our culture, a lot of times we don't know if that person's talking about hip-hop culture, because to many of us, that is our culture, which is not a nationality. We don't know if we're talking about gang culture. We don't know. So we say our culture, but guess what? When the Mexican man says our culture, you know damn well he's talking about the Mexican culture. You understand? So being that we don't have an identity, we are searching. We are searching all over. So is it Damu? Is Damu my culture? So it's hard to tell somebody they're king and queen if the people, if this company, and then when I say this company, the America is a company. They incorporated themselves. So they act accordingly. We cannot. Here's the thing. Jews came to Jesus, said, yo, check this out. What you think about taxes? Jesus said, whose face is on the coin? They said, Caesar's. You know what Jesus said? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's then. What you asking me for? This is his land. You okay? So my point in saying that is we have to understand where we are. You cannot come into my house, Saladin's house, walk in my house and say, yo, Saladin, bro, why you got your couch over there like that? Help me move your couch this way. I want your couch this way. Yo, bro, what you talking about? This is my house. You understand what I'm saying? This is the way I got my couch. This is America. This is the way it's set up. Only thing you could do is come in here and have a seat. So therefore, since we here already, we have to pay attention to how the game is being played. And economics and capitalism is part of that. So no matter which side you're on, if you're the receiving side or you're on the other side, you have to understand, okay, this is capitalism. This is about money. They want to use me. Okay. So now that we did knowledge of self and we have and we identify who we are, that's the first thing. That's why it's all split up like this. We searching for who we are. We don't know if we niggas, kings, what up, king? We don't know what we are right now. We just out here. Okay. Eventually we'll get to that point. Now, then the second part. Within losing nationality, we lose the art of things. One of the arts of things is the art of mating. If y'all think back and y'all even watch those shows, there was once something called courting. We don't do that no more. It's so fashion. Who's courting no more? You know what I'm saying? But this was actually a part of our history. This is part of something that we did. It was a process and it worked. It kept nonsense out. But we've gotten away from those type of things. two more things I want to talk about. Weaponization of the frequency. Like I started off. If we get shot, if we know that they're using that as a weapon, then that's the thing to stop right there. That is no dancing around it. We have to denounce it. So real brothers can't be afraid to denounce what is the weapon. That's it. And if we have the power and we are friends with these rappers, salute to my son. I spoke to my son 2 weeks ago on the phone. I called him up. We was not seeing eye to eye on some things, and I wanted to talk to him so that it didn't escalate further than it had to go. But that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear accountability. You are a rapper, my son. You are up there with them. So I need you to, even if they don't want to respect what you're saying, say, listen, bro, they're weaponizing our culture. They're weaponizing our words. They're weaponizing the frequency, and it's affecting us. We have to stop. We have to start to denounce it. That's all I want to say.
Listen, y'all tuned in to We Locked In, man. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. Y'all already know what it is. I'm here with this esteemed panel, man. I'm here with the expert Joe Williams, licensed clinician, social worker. I'm here with Jay Burton, the OG, man, Watts' finest, the big bro from out west. We had Minister King pull up, Oakland legend. You know, we got the brother Day Queasy up here, man. You know, we got Kev Mo, Jamel Saladin, and Falme, Mikey B, KK. Listen, this panel was legendary. And I kind of want to put this into perspective, y'all, man, because, you know, a lot of times, man, I know it's easy for us to feel like, and this is it's easy for us to feel like, you know, we come up here and we just talk about it and we're not doing anything. And that would be doing a disservice to all of us. Because, you know, we are doing something. We're doing the best that we can with the little bit of resources that we have. So having this conversation is not just about just talking and blowing off steam. Nah, brothers is on the front line every single day. You dig what I'm saying? We've been committing ourselves. Some of us have been doing this for the last 15, 20, 25 years, although individuals have been doing it in prison. Like to Jay Burton's point. And Falme now, what we came together and said we wanted to do strategically on the inside in Falme. We was going to do what? Strategically try to get the youth out of the gangs.
Yeah, exactly.
But we knew the only way that we was going to be able to do so, we had to have a presence within that gang. We couldn't do it from the outside. So he and I, we strategized as to how we would use our influence to get a lot of these young brothers out of the gang itself, because what we saw was the individuals who had influence over them, manipulating them for their own diabolical objectives. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with a positive or uplifting or an empowering ideology about Black upliftment. None of that. It had everything to do with what could you do for me and how could you help me further my diabolical aims and objectives. That has nothing to do with positivity. So what he and I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to try to get into these young individuals' hearts and minds to encourage these individuals to go up against these leaders who are manipulating them. And that was the aim. That was the objective. But, you know, that's a whole nother history there, man. But listen, man, we've been here on this panel right now for 2 hours. I want to turn it back over to Mr. Joe Williams. I know he probably want to leave us with some parting words. I mean, because we probably would spend another hour having parting words if I went around the whole panel. But, you know, this is this brother's panel. You know, we usually give it to him. We gave him a slot like every 2 weeks. We was doing the Therapy Thursdays thing because we felt like the message that he has to convey to the community is so important that, you know, it's his presence is needed here. So I called him today and I was like, yo, bro, I know we haven't had you for a while, but, you know, Therapy Thursdays is your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, you know, we need you back, man, because your voice, your influence, your expertise is important, man. But my brother, Joe, if you would like to leave us with some parting words, something that will resonate with us, something we can hold on to, man, we would truly appreciate it, my brother.
Appreciate that, Moshe. I appreciate everybody that's on this panel. Each of you kings are operating wherever your kingdom is, and you're doing what you're doing to be the best version of yourself and to impact change. So keep up the great work. And finally, I did want to touch on something. You started by sharing two things that's been heavy on your heart, right? And the prior one or the first one was about the young man who you had a hand in, rearing and raising. Y'all had a fallout, and you humbled yourself. You approached him to be accountable for your actions and apologize, and he scoffed at you. And I want to tell you two things. One, don't take it personal, because that may be his way of expressing his disappointment in you, as his feelings may have been hurt in the fallout that y'all had. And for many, the brain does not stop forming until the age of 25. Y'all hear me speak about a lot about emotional dysregulation, because oftentimes the way we receive information, it triggers a feeling before we even can cognitively process it. So a lot of times when we're receiving information, it's sparking a feeling in us before we can analyze it. And when we respond, we're actually responding based on that unaware emotion. So this young brother may be operating from a place of immaturity where he cannot see how you humbled yourself to be accountable, because he's still young in himself. One. Two, he may still be hurting and need the space to hurt. His feelings may really have been hurt by you, and although you were ready to say, you know what, I messed up, I came back, he's not ready. And if he's not ready, leave him with that space. Just let him know that the room and the space is there when he is ready. Let him know without any excuses. Look, I own that. I fucked up. As a man, I'm apologizing for my shit. I ain't making no excuses. When you ready to talk for us to repair our relationship, I'm here for you, because I ain't going nowhere. That, and this comes from me working with the youth in the high schools for the last however many years. And so I'm understanding, as I'm quite sure you are as well. So I just wanted to leave you with that. Give him his space to be upset, but also understand he may not have the capacity to understand what you was bringing to him. As far as a final word to part with, I remember what it was like for me being 12, 13, 14, 15 in Brownsville, East New York. I remember what it was like growing up in the hands of a single mother who was hell bent on me not becoming like my father, who was in and out of jail and strung out and trying to live his best life. And that's no shade to him. I remember what it was like being angry and afraid, and angry because I was afraid. I remember it was like the beatings that I got through the lens of this is discipline, when if we compare it to what Kunta Kinte experienced, that shit was abuse. I remember what it was like worrying about if I'm gonna get jumped in school. Are they gonna try to rob my hat? Are they gonna take my lunch money? I remember what it was like being rejected from my first girlfriend. And I could go on and on with these. I remember what it was like because I remember what it was like. And because I remember what it was like, when I interact with the youth, when I interact through my therapy sessions, when I interact at any platform that I'm on, I want people to remember what it was like feeling neglected, abused, oppressed, and make sure that you are not replicating the same things that you did not like. That's one. Two, I want to leave the panel, the audience, the listeners, wherever this will be played again. Understand what makes you tick. The moment you can understand yourself, what motivates you, what are you afraid of? What is an ideal family? What are your goals? Once you can understand you and what makes you make the chess moves that you make, you can understand the outcomes you have been experiencing, and what's needed to have the outcomes that you've been wanting to experience. It's all on your series of decisions. Each of us are where we are right now based on our series of decisions. If we want ourselves, our children, our families, our community, our neighborhoods, and our societies to be better, we have to be the change that we're looking for. So it starts and ends with us. So peace, kings. I see you and I salute y'all.
Yo, you know, we thank, you know, Mike, on behalf of myself, Mikey B, and KK, man, we thank you, Joe, for coming up here and giving us that wisdom. To the elder, Jay Burton, you know, we love you, man. We want to see you free. We always appreciate, man, the risk that you take, man, to spread your love to us, man. We know what that is under those circumstances. We know what you got to, you know, we know what that looks like, man. And we appreciate you for being here. Jamel Saladin, it's always a pleasure, my brother. You pulling up. We always honor that. Kevmo, man, you know, we go back, man. We truly value your wisdom. Daquan, man, thank you for pulling up, my brother. I'm just meeting you, but I've been seeing you in the chat. We truly appreciate your presence being here. Your wisdom was profound, and we love your energy, my brother. And found me, you already know, my brother, man. I love you, my brother. I know we don't talk as often, but you already know, my brother. I see your work. I already know the work you're doing. I wish everybody on here nothing but success. To everybody that's been tuned in, we truly appreciate everybody that put their comments in the chat. Everybody that shared, like, supporting the movement, man. Listen, man, if y'all learned anything from tonight's discussion, is that we have to be proactive. We have to get out there and we got to do work. It's not going to be easy, but we got a long way to go to where we need to get, man. And I would encourage everybody, man, at least, man, to just get moving to the best of your ability, man. Again, man, hit that subscribe button, please. Like it, share it, and support the movement, man. We locked in, man. Good night, everybody.
Find freedom in you.
Salute.
Hey, Jason.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, man.
All love, bro.
Same here, man.
Stay strong. Stay strong, Jay Burke.
Peace,
Oh, yeah,
bro.
for certain. You know, I got a lot of love for y'all, man. East Coast, West Coast, we connected. Down South and everywhere in between.
Right.
Good.
We nation.
Peace.
We nation. You already know what it is, man.
We nation. That's that for the West to the East and everything in between.
That's
Peace.
a fact.
Purification is the best purification.
Joe, love you, bro. Kevmo, love you, man. Mikey, love you, man.
I love you more, man. Love all y'all, man. You know that. Mikey B.
Love you, bro. Peace, bro.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.